Well, good morning. This here is Dennis, and this is your July tape. It's probably around the 21st or 22nd. Nah, it's probably later than that. It's probably about the 24th. So it's towards the end of July, and I'm sitting up here at the top of the mountain. The wind's blowing real nice, and we've had a couple of cloudy days, so it's not 110 and 115 anymore. It's getting ready for August, that hot month of the summer, and this has been one of them years for trust. We haven't had quite as much water as we like. It's a little warmer than we had thought, and it's a little more drought than we're anticipating, and there was a little more of this and a little more of that than we were sort of ready for, I guess, on the whole planetary outlook. But the beauty of things is like the planet, there are those things that stay in present time, and things just kind of move along, moment to moment, and just keep correcting different things and making different ways work rather than the things we had pre-set up. It's a good year to look at yourselves and realize that all those plans, how'd they turn out? And if all those plans didn't turn out, that's because you were spending so much time trying to make them be a certain way in the future that you forgot about being in present time and trusting the whole to get the job handled. I think in this moment in time here, as I look out over the valleys and see the beauty, I've been thinking about talking about trust now for a couple days, and so as I look out, I'm just trusting myself to come up with the right words so that we each get inspired by ourselves out there. See, the right words means that they're the words that you've been looking for and searching for inside of yourself, knowing all the time that they were there, and then hearing them through someone else and going, wow, I can trust myself, because you've heard these words from someone else, perhaps someone else that you trust, or something that you trust, or some place that you trust. You are always inspired when you squeeze your lucky rabbit's foot, or you always get great insights when you meditate. You know, trusting in those forms, not necessarily just into a person. Those of you who have received this tape, I'm sure have received other tapes and letters from me, me saying how I'm doing out there in the world, telling people what's going on. And because you get this tape, you do trust. You have seen me go through changes. I know that every now and then I do something outrageous. Well, hey, let's face it, that's who I am. From now and then I definitely push the rules and go, well, I have no rules, which is really pushing rules. I write letters and I tell people the truth, where I'm really at. Hey, things are going this way, I need support of the whole, and so I'd like the whole to support me. And I'm just being truthful. It's who I am. And I tell everybody out there that you should be who you are, because you're the most important person going. And I tell you to be true to yourself. And that's what I am for me. I'm true to myself. So when I'm outrageous, it's because I'm just being true to myself. And I think that's what it is that most people like to see. They like to see somebody who can say, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm stumbling here and I'm stumbling there. And remember, we're all the same. Nobody's really different. And I think that's why a lot of us hang out together. It's because I'm really truthful in where it is that I'm at. And I think that's what certain people like about me, because if you can trust in me in certain ways, you can trust in me. And the truth of the matter is, hey, I ain't any different than you are. If I'm having money problems, and I am in the divine side, it's because it appears that a lot of people who are divine are also having money scenarios. And if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. And if I have them, you have them. I'm just being truthful. People think that I shouldn't have any problems. Well, then that separates me from you, doesn't it? And then we're not the same, are we? And then the statement is that if I can make it, you can make it, wouldn't be true, because you would be separate. I'm different. I'm flawless. Well, that's horse feathers. I'm not. I'm not at all. I'm just like you. And because I'm in the physical world just like you, I do the physical things and try and grow from those physical things just like you. I am no different than you. I have no higher or less than high ambition than you. I go for my highest thought. Just like I encourage you to go for your highest thought, a non-limiting highest thought. My highest thought is truly to thank God for me being aware that I am just aware. And I honor and I praise that divineness within inside of me continuously. And that is my highest thought, and that is what I share with you. And I encourage you always to be that. And on the physical plane, you know what? I do my physical plane things too. You've all been aware of the things that have been going on for me. I was in my divine self, and being a physical person, I got caught a little bit up onto the physical plane. And like some of us got behind in our bills. Hey, that's because me and you are alike. Now I also know that for us there's that saying that be in the world, but not of it. And I know when I'm in the world. We all know when we're in the world. But we also know when we touch those divine aspects and we're just of the world, besides being in it, we're all of it. And there's a harmony and a smoothness. And I found that harmony and smoothness within these last couple weeks, and I challenged myself in all ways, shapes, and forms. I got back in there, and I began to trust. I began to trust that what I was doing and what I was searching for was really going to work. See, I knew that by sending out a tape to everybody, I would get so much of a response from that. That's, one of those things. But I also knew that it was going to grow everybody. And anybody who was into trusting the whole would grow from it. Trusting themselves, it was never an issue of any of the issues that I stated. It was just a matter of, hey, are you part of the whole? Can you trust in the whole? That was the basic message. Trust. And that universe put out trust to me, and it showed me that there were people out there who cared. And it showed it in a physical way. You see, some of us need to trust, and we need to see things in a physical way so that we can trust that. And so the universe came out, and it manifested itself in all of you, and you trusted, and you sent this $28 scenario that I was working with. Now, I was not just trusting to receive $28. I was trusting in myself to know that the entire universe was going to support me. And if it did indeed support me, I could trust in that. And as each of us trusted in that in our own little different ways, by sharing love and just by putting out that totality, I knew that the universe would manifest in more ways than I could count. Now, the first way, naturally the most obvious way, was a physical, monetary count, because the monetary aspect of myself needed to trust. It needed to trust, and it needed to know, but it didn't need to trust from a monetary level. See? It needed to trust from all of the other levels that dealt with money and not just the zeros and figures. Let me explain that. The universe sent to me in a form that the unit, a certain level of Dennis, needed to know, and it showed me that it gave me $8,000. 3,000 from 3 different people, and the rest from all of the individuals out there who sent in the $28. That was only one aspect or one part of the whole, and I trusted that there would be a lot more than that, because I was trusting in the whole, not the idea that people should send me the full $40,000. I trusted in the fact that the whole was going to support me. Trust, pure trust. Now Dennis, as that one part, had to trust, and it saw $8,000, which came and went immediately, quick, still leaving the universal aspect or the money concept about 30-some thousand, 32,000 in the whole. Now I knew I was never in the whole because I was the totality, and I was trusting in that. Somehow, in the universal way, the universe also kicked in from that 2/3 that I've talked about every now and then in the monetary way. It kicked in a $22,000 scenario that would pick up different aspects of the 40. Sure, these different aspects were going to have to be paid back, but it was something that I, as the whole, trusting in the whole, didn't have a problem with, because I was that part of the whole just as you were. So just amazingly, on my name alone, I came along with a $22,000 pickup. And then the universe, through a way that I haven't quite been able to figure out yet, because there are so many levels, picked up another, something like $25,000. Because what happened was, within that short time that I put that tape together and that letter together, I did get a gallery opened. And I opened it in 7 days, something that was truly amazing. And I did it with $20. And the gallery, amazingly, is all paid for. And its value, when I paid for the insurance, when they asked me how much everything in the store came to in gross worth, it came to a replacement value of $91,000, including all of the furnitures and things that I had handmade for the store. Now, I don't really have an idea on how the universe paid for all of that. But I knew that as I trusted, all of a sudden bills that were there just seemed to disappear, and things just seemed to continuously come through my hand in ways that I was not paying attention to because they were from higher levels, and so I didn't need to know. I was trusting. See, the part that needed to know was, oh yeah, here's $8,000. Okay, that goes towards that amount. Well, somehow here's another 22 that I feel really good about getting, and somehow here's another 25 that I don't even know. I don't even have a clue as to how it came around. See, you need to trust in all of the different levels, and I did. And it was amazing. It was the most impressive feat I've ever seen. And DAS has $4,000 in the hole, ahead. $4,000 and I think $200 and some ahead, and we don't even know where that came from. And it doesn't matter because I just trust. And I don't have any weight of any of that old $40,000 debt hanging on my head. I don't have any pressures from, ooh, wow, this has to be done. And to tell you the truth, we did this in 3, maybe 4 weeks tops. And out of those of us as the group, it's like I said, there was an $8,000 kick-in. But I would like to point out that somehow as we trusted in the universe, I ended up with a gallery that has a net worth of $91,000, and I started out with $20. And we did that one in 7 days. Now, I'm impressed. See, because Dennis really isn't sure how all of this came about. It just did. And I trusted. And I had a physical secret. I'll give you the physical secret, because this is what these tapes are about, enlightenment. Physical secret is I used an affirmation. I used a very unique affirmation. And I had to trust in it. Now, in order to trust in it, I decided I would rather use faith than trust, because faith was something that I had truly within myself. It's a form of bhakti yoga. It is what got me to the Godhead. It is what allows me to express my totality always, even when Dennis is doing his scenario. And I truly understand what Jesus meant now when he said, be in the world, but not of it. I got to be in it and of it. I got to be it all, not just one or the other, and got to understand it. So I used the faith. And I started out with an affirmation. Now, the affirmation took a while to work with. You see, because it had to fit with what Dennis actually felt. He felt good about when it came out of his mouth. And when it came out of my mouth, it would have to come with no limitations or no expectations, just pure understanding of trust. And so I started out with the affirmation of, I needed, and that's how I started out, needing to have the universe show me that I could trust in it, which was a need for me to show that I could trust myself. And I could listen to myself. The only person that I knew I could trust. Just like each one of you knows that you can each trust yourself. You know you can trust yourself because you've had enough experiences to check it out. And as you start loving yourself, you learn how to trust yourself even more. I mean, getting really in there and trusting yourself. Because you're learning how to love yourself. Now, I started out with this physical affirmation, and I began to realize that if I was not receiving abundance in my world, it was because I didn't believe I should be abundant, which meant I didn't love myself. And so I went back to the basics. And I took a look at myself, and I realized that, hey, I love myself. I don't need to go back to any affirmation for that one. And I felt good about that. I've always loved myself because I've always been on myself growing. See, I'm growing from each and every thing that I do. I grew by sending a tape to people. I grew by sending a letter to people. I grew because I got positive feedback, and I got feedback that said that I should take another look at what I was doing. And I have. And I'm really pleased with what I'm doing. That's why I'm sharing it. Now, I started off with the affirmation that I knew I loved myself, so that was, I had learned that affirmation. Now I knew I needed to be abundant. But not just in a monetary way, not just getting $40,000 back from people that I asked. That was such a limiting thought for people who locked into that. But that's what they needed to see for their selves in that moment, that that's what was good for them. So they grew, and the group helped them grow. We each put out that energy. And so I said to myself, okay, affirmations, I am abundant. And then I thought, well, abundance is good. God is abundant. Therefore, I could relate to abundance. It wasn't a monetary insight. Abundance was having it all, trusting that the whole was really there to support you. Therefore, the whole was really there for you, and you could establish that trust. And it was a trust of abundance, not a trust of money, a trust of abundance, that you had it all because God was everything. I like that idea. And so I said to myself, okay, I am abundant. I am abundant and then prosperous, meaning that I could have it all. Prosperous, it was my nature to have things, to be like the totality, to be it all. Once again, to be it all. Not some linear aspect, but to be it all. Not a part like money or food or shelter or clothing or a car, but to be it all. And then I knew that all I really wanted to do was worship God within that allness, within that totality, within that oneness. And so, within that oneness, I wanted to experience it in all the worlds, all the dimensions. I wanted all of it, no limiting thought, all. And so I went with, in all of the dimensions, a word. I wanted it all, like I said. I want a word that would encompass time, worlds, places, masters, saints, angels. And so I threw in the word dimension. And so now I had this thing about, I'm abundant and prosperous in all of the dimensions. And then I wanted to receive, so I threw the word receiving in. I wanted to receive abundance and prosperity from all of the dimensions. And then I knew that all of the dimensions were giving to me as long as I was worshiping the God within me. Not Dennis or the ego or the personality, but the God that is in us. Worshiping that part of ourself that is part of the whole. See, we must find that part of that whole within ourselves so that we can be the whole. And it is there. I can tell you unequivocally, without a question of a doubt, that it is there. And it is why you are working so hard on yourself to get to these states, to feel and to know it and to be it all the time, and yet be also in the world, but not of it. Be in it because you're a physical structure and enjoy it. But don't be of it. Don't be trapped within its illusion. Be the totality of it and the master of it. So I worked with this affirmation and I started getting it to, I am receiving abundance and prosperity in all of the dimensions, and all of the dimensions are giving to me. I am receiving abundance and prosperity in all of the dimensions, and all of the dimensions are giving to me. I am receiving abundance and prosperity in all of the dimensions, and all of the dimensions are giving in me. But then I had a thought, I'm just taking from the dimensions and I'm giving nothing back. And then my mind ran a little rapid and it said, well, wait a minute. By you acknowledging your godness and the totality, all of these other things come to you because they also acknowledge it from a much higher place and are doing it constantly, and therefore are really the total crux, the manifestation of all of this. And then I started switching the dimensional thing around so that, and all of the dimensions were giving and receiving from me, so that I didn't let them out. And then I played with that and I thought, well, wait a minute, this isn't quite right either, but I'm going to start with it anyhow. And I started hammering away on it. And every single time a thought came up where, oh no, I'm really not receiving enough money, I'm really not going to be able to make the bills. Hey, I am abundant. I am receiving abundance and prosperity from all of the dimensions, and all of the dimensions are giving to me. And then I would variety it until I would say it 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 times in all sorts of variations and varieties, but none of them seemed to work. But they were a start, and so they were working in that level. They were concentrating, and they were starting to pull my attention. Every time I even had a yucko feeling about, how am I going to do this? God, I need your help. Boom, I'm abundant, I am prosperous, I'm receiving in all of the dimensions. And I was on it, in my mind, continuously. Sure, the yucky feelings were still hanging there, but I'll tell you what, after about the third affirmation or so, they started slipping away. And I started forcing myself to receive. And then this went on for a little bit, and then I started noticing that I was having trouble with the word abundance and prosperity. And what I began to realize was that I didn't believe I should have it. And then I began to see why. I believed everything should just be even, and I realized that I didn't think I had any worth or any value. But then I understand the trueness of being the master in perfect perfection. Now I'm trying to be, or I am a master when I'm in certain states, which is basically all of the time. But I'm also Dennis, this guy, just like you are. And this is the bridge that gets us through, to the higher self and understands the physical thing so that we're not out there banging our heads against the wall, going, why isn't this working? Hey, it's all working. Just lighten up on yourself. It all works. It's a matter of trusting where we are with things and who we are. If I wish to go out there and change the world and have this entire world see itself as God, I want to inspire every single being on this planet to see the divinity that they are. And if I'm up for that, then I need to really trust myself, and this is it. It's coming down to trusting that you're really God. And trusting that as Dennis, you can tell people that, hey, I'm having financial problems. It's cool. I'm working on it. How about some support in this way? Yeah, far out. Hey, I'm having some back problems. I need some support in my back. Hey, guess what? I'm a normal person just like you. No difference. See, I do the doctor thing. I do the money thing. I do food things. I do weight things just like you. I am no different than you. If I can make it, you can make it. If this is who I am, this is who you are. If you can see the humanness in me and the divineness in me, then whoa! If you get inspired by that, and you can see that you are God, and I am making that happen for you, that's what the fuck I'm here for. I'm not here to lead you, I'm here to say, hey, I'm just like you guys, can you dig this? Now check it out, I got the same problems, and I have the same insights, but when I get them, I'm aware of them from a divine plan, and so as I get them, I send them back to you. See, yesterday I had a major flash revelation. It was the second time I was able to actually see the totality of Maya, and see all of the beings from all of the dimensions coming down and saying, wow, great job, and then looking at them and saying, hey, you are also the illusion, you are also the Maya. Because only when I am expressing the totality in the total worship of the divinity that has made me, am I clear from the illusion. And it was a happening thing yesterday. The totality of this planet was at oneness with my very existence and beyond. And as I felt it and experienced it, knew that this is what I had trusted, the bliss that goes beyond all times, I locked in with visuals on the physical plane, essences on other planes, at wonderment and bliss from all of the totality, and I shared it with all of us, because we're learning that trust. And I could feel it in those moments. And as you allowed me that energy and that love to be myself and to be who I was capable of experiencing and reflecting it totally back to ourselves as that oneness, as that completeness, as that wholeness. I just love you. From a space and godness that is beyond all time and concept, and my heart goes to you and loves you like never before. I just care about you from the base of all essence. I love you. And now I'm going to let this tape run out and go to the other side. Thank you. Even as I